Um, I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
This one's wife. Who has Harry been paying? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We know that Harry and this one's wife love some litigation. This one's wife does so because she utilises it as a means to assert control. I've explained elsewhere that often with litigious individuals you'll find a narcissist lurking. Either a wealthy one who throws their weight around through legal cases, or a not particularly well-off narcissist who either reneges on agreements, breaches contracts, etc. as a consequence of their sense of entitlement and lack of accountability, meaning they find themselves repeatedly on the receiving end of litigation, or they like to bring lawsuits themselves, although they can't necessarily afford lawyers, because of their own need to assert control in their deluded thinking, which causes them to believe that they are always right and that they're the one who's been hard done to, and therefore they have a cause of action. Thus, it's no surprise that this one's wife is somebody who has been involved in litigation. But Harry does also because he has a victim mentality. He believes that he has been hard done to. He believes that he is Harry the Dragon Slayer. He has, in effect, developed a mindset whereby he regards the media as wholly awful and evil. Notwithstanding the fact, of course, that him and his wife regularly courted, ensuring leaked information and PR puff pieces. But Harry has a particular distaste for the British press, born out of his early experiences, and this has created a tunnel vision with regard to him, resulting in him embarking on litigation. Indeed, it wasn't until he met David Sherborne, his barrister, when he was at a soirée with Elton John, that Harry even realised that he might have a potential case. It does strike me that the dim-witted ginger one has been rather railroaded into taking action as a consequence of being encouraged by those that stand to benefit from it, that he does indeed have a case, that he has been told what he wants to hear, namely, you can go after the newspapers. And you'll recall that he has had various pieces of litigation involving them. Well, he has an ongoing case against the publishers of the Daily Mail, Associated Newspapers Limited. He, Elton John, Doreen Lawrence, David Furnish, Sadie Frost, Liz Hurley and Simon Hughes all brought legal action against Associated Newspapers Limited some time ago over multiple allegations of unlawful information gathering and gross breaches of privacy. In the documents that were filed at the High Court in London, Harry and the other claimants named about 70 current and former Associated newspaper journalists they accuse of unlawful information gathering, including voicemail interception, known as phone hacking. That case is still at the interlocutory stage and has yet to have a trial. But as part of a case management conference, there has been an interesting development which brings Harry into potential disrepute. It's reported in the Telegraph that the Duke of Sussex has been ordered to reveal to the High Court any payments or inducements made in return for evidence in his claim against the Daily Mail. Now, there's two important points to make in relation to this for the purposes of balance and context. The Daily Telegraph runs the headline, Prince Harry ordered to reveal any payments to witnesses in case against Daily Mail. They could also have put Elton John ordered to reveal any payments, or Doreen Lawrence. Indeed, they could have listed all of the claimants, but naturally they've chosen Prince Harry because he's deemed to be the most newsworthy. But you mustn't lose sight, it's not Prince Harry who's been singled out to do this. All of the claimants have been ordered to provide this information. Secondly, there is nothing actually unlawful in paying a witness for their testimony so long as the court is aware that this has been done, so that the judge can take into account the appropriate weight that they provide to the witness, knowing, for instance, that they have been paid to provide testimony. Naturally, this potentially taints that individual's evidence. However, in certain instances, it might be argued that a particular individual who has agreed to provide evidence might be someone who earns considerable sums of money and has had to take time out of their earnings to attend court and wanted to be compensated for that. And therefore, you explain that to the court. However, if this information has not been forthcoming, well, that naturally is a credibility issue and could potentially be problematic with regard to the claim that Harry and the others have brought. Associated Newspapers, the publisher that owns the Daily Mail, is accused of carrying out or commissioning unlawful activities such as hiring private investigators to place listening devices inside cars, blagging private records, burglaries to order, and accessing and recording private phone conversations. It won't be lost, of course, on you the hypocrisy of Harry, whereby he and his wife have been accused of recording other people's conversations. Once again, the pair of them will play victim to suggest if that was ever done to them, whilst carrying out the very same activity themselves. No wonder so many of their supporters are regularly hypocrites themselves. The publisher denies the allegations made by a group of high-profile public figures, including the Duke, Baroness Lawrence, that's Doreen Lawrence, Elizabeth Hurley, Sir Elton John, Sadie Frost and Sir Simon Hughes. Instead, they claim that incentives were offered or paid by researchers working for the claimant's legal team, including a £5,000 a month deal with a private investigator called Gavin Burrows. Thus, the Daily Mail is arguing that the claimants were basically bunging researchers to dig up dirt themselves. In a ruling handed down on Friday, Mr. Justice Nicklin criticised the inconsistent and incoherent approach made by the claimants, which includes Harry, to providing such evidence, declaring their explanations unconvincing. He said there were serious questions to be answered about the status of the claimant's research team, particularly the documents that they held, and whether there had been adequate disclosure. The judge ruled that the group should search for and hand over any documents that suggest that Mr. Burrows or any other potential witnesses had skin in the game. The trial is due to take place in January 2026. The judge's latest ruling follows a 2-day case management hearing in May, during which Anthony White, KC, for Associated Newspapers, asked the court to order the claimants, which includes Harry, to search for and disclose any documents that relate to payments, royalties, or inducements paid, provided, or offered, or any demands or threats made in order to obtain documents, information, or other cooperation. The barrister said a limited number of documents have been disclosed, which showed that payments were made or offered to procure evidence and invoices. Mr. Justice Nicklin said he was satisfied that any documents suggesting witnesses had been paid or offered other inducements should be disclosed. That is because there is a real prospect that Associated will be able to rely upon this evidence to attack the credibility of such witnesses. Ultimately, the issue of whether the payment or inducement does affect the credibility of any witness is a matter to be resolved at trial. In this case, the stance adopted by the claimants has been undermined by their inconsistent and incoherent approach to disclosure of documents relating to payments to potential witnesses and or other inducements. The claimants were also ordered to conduct further searches for evidence relating to what had been described in court as their personal watershed moment, namely when they became aware that they had a potential claim. Harry was said to have sent a text message to Baroness Lawrence alerting her that information had come to light that she would want to know about, prompting her to join the legal action just a few months later. In a subsequent email sent by Harry to Baroness Lawrence about the material his barrister David Sherborne had come across, he said he and one of his team would be keen to come and speak to you in order to explain what this material shows and what your options are. The Duke was told he had a potential claim by Mr. Sherborne, to whom he was introduced by Sir Elton while on holiday at the singer's home in France. Accordingly, Associated newspaper wants to know when they were fixed with the state of knowledge about a potential claim, presumably to run limitation arguments, and also it would appear that there is credible evidence that certain witnesses have been paid for their testimony and involvement, but Harry and the other claimants have not been exactly consistent in being forthcoming about this information. This potentially could cause problems for Harry's claim. The witness's credibility could be affected. The failure to disclose these documents in a timely fashion could also damage the credibility of the claimants. And naturally, it is rather entertaining to note that Harry, and of course this one's wife, although she's not a party to the litigation, invariably hold themselves out as being the defenders of free speech and accordingly individuals that would position themselves to disclose information, that they're on the side of protecting people, that they're there to slay the beast that is the press. And yet, Harry and the other claimants haven't been properly forthcoming with regard to their own disclosure, and now the court has made a specific order compelling them to provide this information. It is not a particularly good look for Harry, and it could unearth different further problems for him, which might damage his overall claim. Whether that actually comes to pass, well, we'll see should the matter continue and result in a trial with a judgment handed down. But once again, question marks about the conduct of Harry and his claimants, and who has been paid money by them, and for what. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.